Good morning, everybody. Today we are going to study about the renal failure. In this topic, we are concentrating about the what are the medical problems we can face in the dentistry. So, the learning outcomes, what we are going to study is how we can manage a medically compromised patient like a renal failure patient. What are the things we'll do? What are the procedures pre and post we can do? What are the medication we can prescribe for the particular that type of patients also? How will you manage a renal failure patients come to clinic? What are the things we'll do? Everything we can study in this topic. So it is very important because we are prescribing a lot of drugs, we are giving LA, all these it will affect the patient. So what are the medications is contraindicated? What are the medications indicated for this patient? We will study in this topic. So first, we are going to study about the. I'm going to roughly talking about the anatomy of kidney. So, you know already about the kidney two pairs, that is connected to ureter and connected to the bladder and urethra. So, in, inside the kidney, what are the structures? We'll notice that you already know about that. One is afferent vessel. Afferent vessel will be there, and there will be glomerulus and Bowman's capsule. That's the main thing. And the convoluted tubule will be there. There are a lot of capillary networks, and the that will go to the Henle's loop. Then that will go to the second convoluted tubule. Then the distal convoluted, the cortex and the medulla. Then it will go to the collecting duct, and it will go to the urethra and the bladder. This is the main function that will go. So in this signal, they will remove all the waste products from the uh, urine. So the passing out the urine, all the waste products will collect up through urethra. So the main functions we are going to know. Normally the body fluids like volume of composition, including the acid-base balance, that is very important. Acid-base balance, and excrete the metabolites and the drugs and the hormones to the kidney, and synthesis the vitamin D entry, erythropoietin. This is also very important. So the main function is again that kidney can regulate the body salt contents, like salt and water are regulated by the kidney through the similar process. So if you're taking a salty meal, the salt is absorbed into the blood. So what will happen when the salty water reaches the kidney? The excess salt is removed and passes out through the urine. So the kidney are able to determine the correct concentration of salt. And next one is the regulating the blood pressure is another crucial function of the kidney. This is done by the hormonal reactions, and they're regulating the volume of water in the body, which what you know the renin is an enzyme that already you know the renin enzyme secreted by the kidney, which is helps to control the blood pressure and also to regulate the electrolyte balance. So blood pressure begins to fall and the kidney release the enzyme called renin. This enzyme converts into red protein the hormone called angiotensin, and the other function is regulating the pH. The body pH is main important thing. The blood become too acidic. That means that the excess of hydrogen ion and the kidney removes the excess ions into the urine. So the normal pH is 7.4, and also the other production of hormones like some hormones are produced through the kidney, that is called erythropoietin, and processing the vitamin D. That is processing the vitamin D is the main thing to function our function of the kidney. So what we'll do, there will be calcitriol, which is an active form of vitamin D. In this active form, vitamin D promotes the absorption by the small intestine and makes it available for the bone development. These are the main things they will do it. So if going through the chronic kidney disease, that is means chronic renal failure, what are the causes? So what will happen? The causes like hypertension, the BP will be high, diabetes, chronic glomerular nephritis, renal artery stenosis, and analgesic nephropathy. That means the patient, already they mentioned the hypertension, the patient are regulating the salt, everything. No? So if increasing the salt production, that will increase the BP also, and susceptibility also infection. The analgesic nephropathy, that means that the suppose if the patient having uh, any pain or any problem, then what they will do, they will take some medicines from the pharmacy, and they will take the routine drugs daily. So they will be painkiller that will affects the kidney. So it's affect the kidney more. The clinical features we can show is the nocturia. Nocturia is nothing but the patient wake up at night and pass the urine, and anorexia, the loss of appetite, and azotemia, that is elevate the blood urine, that the nitrogen, the serum creatinine level, and hypertension will be there, patient has high BP, anemia, renal osteodystrophy, secondary hyperparathyroidism, bleeding tendency, and infection. These are the most clinical features we can see in the kidney failure patients. So, what are the things? So, what are the things mostly we'll do for a kidney failure? What we'll do is dialysis. Before that, how will you diagnose the patient having kidney failure? That is blood urea, nitrogen, creatinine, electrolytes, urinalysis like specific right like pH, ketone bodies, protein, urobilinogen, bilirubin, glucose, RBC number, WBC, everything. So, and we'll check out about the hepatitis B and C. These are the main things normally used, and we can go for renal biopsies, scintigraphy, angiography, like that. So, what we'll do when you're going for a dialysis? Dialysis, what they works as the principle of the diffusion and osmosis of solids and fluid across the semi-permeable membrane. So the blood flows by one way side of a semi-permeable membrane, and dialysate or fluid flows by the opposite side. So the small solids and fluid pass through the membrane. The blood flows in one direction and the dialysis flow in the opposite. So there are different types of dialysis, are mainly three types. That is, first one we are going to use, that is hemodialysis, dialysis of soluble substance and water from the blood by the diffusion through a semi-permeable membrane. That means separation of cellular elements and colloids from the soluble substance is achieved by a pore size in the membrane and rates of diffusion. So how will you know? They will take the blood from the artery and is passed to the machine. There is a dial machine. So there will be a pressure monitor will be there and the pump, and we will insert the anticoagulant. Why we are using the anticoagulant? When you take out the blood from the blood vessels, so we'll use the anticoagulant like a heparin. So what not the otherwise the blood will clot. So we can never the clot the blood inside the dialysis unit machine. So we use the heparin, and so there will be free flow through the machine. So we're using the anticoagulant, and we go for a dialyzer, and there will be air trap and a dictator will be there, and we will return back to the vein. This is actually the hemodialysis that will do. Another one that is called the so the dialysis unit patient, because when the patient going for extraction, when we'll do for the uh, extraction is after the next day after the dialysis. So actually the dialysis they will do around 3 to 6 sections per week. So the next day after the dialysis they will go for the extraction procedure, any treatment procedure they will do. Next one is that peritoneal dialysis. That's the removal of the removal from the body of the soluble substance and the water by the transfer across the peritoneum utilizing a dialysis solution, which is interventionally introduced into and removed from the peritoneal cavity. Transfer of diffusible solutes and water between the blood and the peritoneal cavity depends on the concentration gradient between the two fluid components. So what is the infusion will be dialysis solution that directly placed to the abdomen membrane, and there will be catheter will be there. So they will place directly to the abdominal cavity and the peritoneum. Next one is called a hemofiltration. That's a process of similar to hemodialysis, but by which the blood is dialyzed using ultrafiltration and usually to remove the specific product of fluid volume. That's called hemofiltration. So there are three types: hemodialysis, peritoneal dialysis, and hemofiltration. So next one is the drugs that are uh, used for kidney failure patients. The safest drug normally used for the kidney failure patient, normally we are using like metronidazole, paracetamol, and also they can use the LA like lidocaine. That's commonly used one, lidocaine. So metronidazole is commonly used antibiotic for the patients. We can use safe for the renal failure patient also, and we can use the lidocaine, and paracetamol is commonly used. And these patients they are commonly for under GA, we can use like midazolam. And midazolam and diazepam are they can use the safest drug for under GA procedure. The second one, the fairly safe dosage, that we are using that ALD, penicillin, and amoxicillin. Amoxicillin commonly used antibiotic. So we can use, but we will send the patient to the physician opinion. Then only we can give uh, according to the patient vital status. And the sub patient is chronic renal failure. No, we can never prescribe that type of antibiotic. So if the acute case, we can give like a safer drug, like amoxicillin also we can prescribe. So amoxicillin, erythromycin, all these drugs we can give. Lesser safe if going for like a cephalosporin, ciprofloxacin, ofloxacin, levofloxacin, and avoid NSAID, because NSAID they can lead to gastrointestinal bleeding also. So avoid NSAID drugs for the chronic renal failure patients. It is very important. They can ask in the Viva question also. Why you ever know? So avoid NSAID drugs in the chronic or renal failure case. So going for the avoid the we can never prescribe this type of drugs for this type of patient, especially aminoglycosides, tetracyclines, sulfonamides, and opioids. Opioids like tramadol, this type of drugs we can never prescribe for the chronic illness. So, if the patient came, first you send the physician opinion regarding about the patient vital status. What are the drugs we can prescribe? You will mention in the physician letter. Then only the physician will say no. Okay, the patient have this much problem, so we can prescribe the safer drugs like these are the drugs. We will prescribe that about because they only they monitor that patients more. So what are the things mainly? No, there will be infection, will be there, inflammation will be masked, and there will be viral infection because of dialysis. So there will be chance of hepatitis B and C. I already mentioned. So antibiotic microbial prophylaxis is indicated for the exercise. So give a antibiotic coverage that is more good to the patient, like normally we give amoxicillin and metronidazole we can give, no problem. Otherwise, if you want to prescribe a higher antibiotic, you prescribe the physician opinion and go for the scaling or extraction procedure or a periodontal procedure, anything. And we go after dialysis only, then we go for a multiple procedure and propose of the patient with the transplant. Especially some big cases, the patient will go for transplant, then be careful. There will be higher chance. Already I mentioned that local anesthesia and the consideration. Local anesthesia we can give the lidocaine normally with the adrenaline, no problem. But if you're going for a GA, no, the midazolam is preferred medicine. That is something we can prefer for the patient. GA, some of the drugs are contraindicated for this thing. So the fitness they will give by the anesthesiologist, then they will tell they can prescribe like this type of drugs. All this they will inform to the consent department. Oral manifestation for a venophilic is a loss of lamina dura. There will be bony lesions will be there, osteolytic lesions. Then giant cell lymphoma, then socket sclerosis, and screen with a bone problems be more. So if you're going for a uh, bone uh, graft or something like that, implant placement, no, then be careful for this type of patients. Suppose we are going for a implant, dental implant for this case, no, we will take a consent opinion, then only we can start the procedure. Then we can see the dryness of mouth, halitosis, metallitis, reduces salivary flow, increases calculus formation, pale oral mucosa because of anemia and oral ulcerations. These are the common uh, things we can see in the patient. So in the dental management, what are the things? If you're going for a extraction, the patient having bleeding, already mentioned the heparin therapy, anticoagulant, so the chance of the bleeding will be there. The treatment can be carried out after the dialysis only. So how can we control the bleeding? Only thing we go for the desmopressin can be to release the von Willebrand factor or the cryoprudate. These are the drugs we can reduce the bleeding or conjugate estrogen syrup at 6 that will be last for more than 6 hours like that. So we can arrest the bleeding. And the infection that can be controlled using the antimicrobial drugs like amoxicillin or like that. The safer drugs we will prescribe for this patient and avoid NSAID for the patient with the gastrointestinal bleeding will be, so avoid all these drugs, and also it may affect the antihypertensive drug also. So these are the main things we can notice in the renal failure cases. Next one is the acid base balance. So in acid base ones, the about the normal blood pH is around 7.4, that is plus or minus. So when you become acidic, when you become alkalosis, it is less than 7.45, that will become alkalosis. If it's greater than that is 7.35, that is called acidosis. That is due to the bicarbonate, that is called a metabolic acidosis or alkalosis. If you due to the carbon dioxide, that is due to respiratory acidosis and alkalosis. So the pH is around 7, no, that will be depends upon the acidosis or alkalosis we can prescribe. So it is less than 7.4 now, that is going to alkalosis. So what is metabolic acidosis? According to the pH is less and the bicarbonate become less in the blood. No? So that is due to the shock, infection, renal failure, or diabetes, alcohol, and salicylate drugs. No? Like cigarettes, as well as diarrhea, Addison's disease, renal tubule, as well as like that. No? That will leads to metabolic. That are the reasons that will lead to metabolic acidosis. If the metabolic alkalosis, that is increase in pH and bicarbonate, no, that is due to vomiting, severe pains and potassium, that means using the diuretic drugs, that will lead to metabolic alkalosis. So these are the commonly things happen, because if there will be sudden shock or there will be renal failure, we'll check the blood pH and we can identify the pH level is decreased, and the bicarbonate level also. That means your patient is in the metabolic acidosis. Otherwise, they due to the patient have severe vomiting or patient have severe burns, then increase in the pH and the bicarbonate level be increased. So we can identify it is a which type, respiratory or metabolic acidosis or alkalosis. Going to the next one is the respiratory acidosis. Respiratory increase in the pH, decrease in the pH level, and the carbon dioxide level in the lungs, that will be increased. So the respiratory failure will be there. That is COPD and asthma, pneumonia, pulmonary edema. This type of cases we can notice that respiratory acidosis. If the pH level is increased and carbon dioxide level is decreased, and patient is in hyperventilation, that is due to the stroke, cerebral bleed, meningitis, anxiety, pregnancy, pulmonary body, like the cells use, know that respiratory alkalosis we can see. So these are the commonly things we are noticed in the patients. So in this topic mainly we discuss about the what are the drugs we can prescribe for the patient, and for recurring renal failure cases, in which time we can go for extraction or any dental treatment, at what time we can go for the dental treatments, means only we do only on the after the dialysis. And the main thing is that telling the patient can be accessible due to the hepatitis B and C will be there for the chronic cases, and avoid the NSAID drugs. That is very important, and the safest drug we can prescribe for the particular type of the patients, the like amoxicillin and metronidazole or paracetamol, like that. Don't give any NSAID drugs, and also don't give tramadol. Tramadol means or anti-the opioids. These are the commonly things we are noticing in the chronic illness. For linear exam, mostly they will ask all you study about concentrating about the what are the drugs they can prescribe, and what even by the respiratory acidosis or alkalosis, like that. These are the main thing in the chronic renal failure case.